Competition Commission has been hunting down companies inflating prices for masks and other essential goods, and a distributor of face masks and personal protective gear will now pay 11 million rand. It's the first major consent agreement confirmed by the Competition Tribunal, which is the body above the Commission. To discuss, we're joined on the line by the Deputy Competition Commissioner, Hardin Ratshisusu. Hardin, thank you very much. So 11 million rand is being paid by consent. So this company basically admitting to inflating those prices.
Good evening to you and the SABC listeners. Indeed, this is a significant settlement, as you say, involving a company called Matters. We found that they significantly inflated prices of masks over time, just before the declaration of a pandemic in South Africa. And therefore, we imposed the penalty that we have as confirmed by the Competition Tribunal. The penalty is in two portions, so they will pay a penalty to the National Revenue Fund and a portion to the Solidarity Fund. So that's 5.9 million and 5 million respectively.
Special masks for health personnel or for ordinary members of the public, how much more were they going for?
So we found these are mainly your dust masks. So prices increased quite significantly, and what we found there is that they pretty much inflated their margins. In some cases up to 50%. Of the ordinary price they would sell to the normal hardware, because the Matters it's a wholesaler as you have it. So what we found is that, and I think they admitted that those margins were quite excessive, and hence they agreed to stop the conduct.
There is another case involving Diskin, and they are fighting that in the courts, saying supply and demand means prices go up. They had to pay more for the masks or whatever they were importing, so customers also had to pay more. What is your response to their legal challenge?
So with Diskin, the good thing with that case is that today the tribunal concluded its hearing. So we await the judgment of the tribunal on this case. And the allegations we put to Diskin are that they increased prices for specific masks without cost justifications. So those masks that we refer to the tribunal, there is no cost justification. We hear their point saying, well, markets could have corrected over time. The Commission ought not to intervene for such increases over a short period. We differ with that. It's an important intervention. Had we not intervened, we think prices would have persisted and would have increased significantly over time.
Well, can you explain this further? Because some people would say, why are you intervening in normal market forces, supply and demand? Customers can either pay more or walk with their feet, find another supplier, new suppliers will enter the market. What do you see your role as right now? And why are you, some would say, intervening in those normal forces?
What we see are not normal market supply and demand forces in the market at the moment. There are significant supply constraints. As you know, there was a point where there was panic buying, and post the declaration of a national disaster, you also note the limited movement of people. So the market, as we know it, is not operating as normal. So what you see, even the increases in volumes that Diskin has experienced and many others, these are unprecedented increases. We have never had a surge in demand of masks in South Africa as we have it now. So it is not a cogent argument that we should just step back, never intervene, markets will self-correct. I can assure you, had we not intervened as the competing authorities, prices would have skyrocketed in South Africa. And we think the tribunal will agree with us on this particular issue. It's agreeing with us on consent agreements that we are filing with it, that indeed there have been contraventions. You wouldn't be having matters paying a penalty of 11 million rands if it was normal market demand forces.
And do you have special powers because of the Disaster Management Act, the regulations, or is this the normal exercise for the Competition Commission? Can you intervene?
So we do have, of course, in terms of the Competition Act, we can regulate excessive pricing in a market. But the disaster management regulations took it a step further. Government published regulations, which regulations prescribe an additional test to consider, that we should prosecute instances where margins have increased without cost justifications. So the benchmark is the period prior to the pandemic and the period post the pandemic. So what we have found, all of these cases that we are pursuing, is where firms were earning low margins. Come COVID-19, margins increased without any increases in costs. So this is something that we are attending to as authorities.
All right, thank you very much. So this does protect consumers, and one wholesaler paying 11 million rand, a warning to businesses out there. That was a Deputy Competition Commissioner, Hardin Ratshisusu.